Hi everyone, and welcome to our video for this week. And what we're going to be doing is another one in our explanation teaching and learning series, and we're looking at how to avoid the waffle this week. So first of all, what is the problem of waffle? If, like me, when exam season comes around, you just can't help yourself having a quick glance on social media to see what the kids say about your exam, then you're probably very familiar with memes like this one. The number of times they come out, and it has to be said, quite often this is going to be in some of those more essay-based subjects they like to put it, but no one is really safe, I don't think, from it, because what do students do when they're uncertain? They waffle. They just write down anything at all that pops into their brains in the vague hope that they might stumble across a mark somewhere. So Twitter or whatever social media platform will probably be awash with waffle memes very soon. Now, obviously, I'm sure like me, you try and tell these students day in, day out, please don't waffle in your answers. Just get to the point. Stop wasting your time with all these superfluous sentences that you're throwing in the vague hope of scoring a mark through chance. Focus in on what you know and put it on a page. So we do that with our students. But are we just as guilty? Is it just a problem for the students, or actually is it a problem for us as staff as well at times? When we're giving our explanations, how often do we decide that we're going to start it off with something a little bit more open? Do we give a little bit of background that actually wasn't necessary at that point in time? Do we just focus in on those key points? And I think what we really need to understand here is what makes a great explanation. Because at the core of this getting knowledge across to these kids, we've got to be able to explain things well. And in reality, there's two key things to bear in mind when it comes to a good explanation here: concision and repetition. When it comes to keeping it concise, make sure that at that point that we're introducing a new concept or new content, then we're using short, simple sentences. That means they're not having to try to dig through all of these extra words to get down to the key facts we want them to understand. So cut out everything else, keep it simple in your sentences, make sure the language is at the level they can understand. You've got access to all their reading ages, which will give you an idea of their understanding of the English language. Can be concerning at times, I know they don't understand basic English words here and there, so think about the words you're using in that initial explanation. Keep it short, keep it simple. Make sure that we are focused on the facts and the information we want them to have at that first point. We don't need anything extra. Don't go into the other bits. Don't go into all these extra examples and bits like this. Here is the fact. This word means this. Stick to it. Just get those facts across. And make sure that we're actually front loading our sentences with that key learning point. And by that, what I mean is, if we're looking at something like metaphors, don't start off with a whole rambly waffle first of all. Just go, right, a metaphor is this, and just tell them. Because if they've got that information first of all, that's the foundation of it. We're cutting out all of the additional bits that can come later. We just want them to know this is a word. This is what it means. This is a concept. This picture means this. Here is how you do this skill. We're just focused on that key learning point. And when they're actually secure in those basics, absolutely, build in the complexity. Bring in those additional examples. Bring in the linked concepts. But the first time, stick to the simple. Only the facts, short, simple sentences. The second aspect is repetition. Now, you may have noticed I actually employed this on our previous point, where I wanted you to take away that your explanation should be short, simple, front-loaded with those facts. I just repeated those bits several times when I was giving you that explanation. And this is what we should be doing in our lessons as well. That core message of your lesson should be simple, and it should be repeated regularly throughout that time we've got with our students. And I've actually seen this done really well recently when I was wandering around, and I wandered into a history lesson, and I think it was year 11s, were going over one of the bits they need to know for their exam. And there were several different strands to the explanation that they need to give, several different causes I think it was. Now, what the teacher was doing was, as the student gave an answer, then she obviously was praising it for that. But when she went on to the next one, it wasn't just a case of, okay, yeah, so we've got one, who can give me another? Who can give me another? Every time that she got that next idea, she repeated the earlier one. So the first student gave the idea of, say, religion, and then she's like, excellent, okay, who can give me another one? So they got another one. It's like, okay, so we've got religion and we've got this next one. And you just keep building on it. So by the time you've got through all of those different parts that you want them to remember, you've said the earlier ones numerous times. They've had that repetition, and to be honest, I can even remember some of them. This is like a week on, so it works. I can't remember what it was about, admittedly, because I wandered in part way through, but those students who were in the room, who were actually engrossed in that lesson, they will take that away. So use that same kind of technique in your lesson. Keep revisiting that concept or that key terminology throughout. If a student gives you an answer, you can then go back, oh yeah, let's revisit that. Let's just re-mention that term. Let's just mention that fact I want you to remember at this point. Let's just remind you of the formula you need to use here. Every time we repeat it, there's a greater chance of them remembering it. So repetition is key. As always, don't forget to comment with your staff code in the actual comment section so that you can be entered into the department goodies draw for the end of the year actual winnings. And if you would like to leave a more extended comment, feel free, share what you're doing in class with this, share some examples of how it's worked well so that others can join in as well.